Good morning, everyone. TGIF, the first Friday of the new year. How's everyone doing today? I'm just going to wait for you guys to tune in. Good morning, YouTube, Facebook, Instagram. Thank you for tuning in. Today is really just, more of a freestyle. Ask me your questions live. I know some of you guys have a lot of frequently asked questions, and most of the time I don't have time to answer them all. Good morning, Deja Vu. Happy New Year to you as well. So go ahead and ask your questions. Damba on YouTube, good morning. Um, Let me see. And then for those of you who are tuning in for the first time, definitely comment and let me know you're tuning in for the first time and let me know where you're tuning in from so I can give you a shout out. And if even if this is not your first time, let us know where you're tuning in from. I personally am in Florida. It's getting chilly in Florida. I was going to say sunny Florida, but it's kind of cold today. But I represent clients all over the United States. My name is Aisha Chidolwe. I'm an immigration lawyer. I handle humanitarian-based cases, abuse cases, VAWA, T visas, marriage-based cases, family-based cases. Rasamwe, first time from Arizona. Good morning. That's early in Arizona. It's like 8:20. I actually used to live in Chandler, Arizona for about 11 months. Um, Years ago. Good morning, Habidi from Maryland, Eric from Louisiana, Kimi from Georgia. I'm going to be in your city in a few days. Oga from Oga Young from Maine. Maine. People live in Maine. Hi, Waka. Thanks for tuning in. Sesson from Jersey, thank you for tuning in. Novelette, good morning. It's snowing in New York. I want to be in New York. I miss snow so much. Like my kids have never seen snow, and we just never time it right. So hopefully they'll get to experience snow at some point, this year or next year. Good morning, Nikea. Happy New Year. Good morning, Carl on YouTube. Chooks from Austin. Good morning, Favor Carey. Hey, Ral. Ral is another badass immigration lawyer. You guys should follow her as well. Attraction says this is his first time from Maryland. Good morning. Good morning. Like I said today, I am just jump right into the questions. Um, I'll be taking your questions. I have about 30 minutes today. So use this opportunity to ask the questions that you've been sliding into my DM so I can answer them. Somebody asked a question here, and the question says, if I get married, do I have to take my husband's last name? No, you don't have to take your husband's last name. That's up to you if you want to take your husband's last name. But if the question you're asking is, are they going to penalize you as far as getting a green card, whether you take your husband's last name or not? The answer is no, that's sexist. How can they tell you that you have to take a last name to prove you're legally married? Thank God we're in 2021, right? Good morning, believer. Let's see what other question. I know that this question has been coming up a lot about, after you submit your petition, either your marriage-based petition, or your vow-based petition. When do you get your work permit? So the answer is that it really depends. Most marriage-based, like I almost feel like there's a little bit of a difference, even though the timelines are similar between VAWA work permits. Work permits when you apply for VAWA versus when you apply for marriage-based cases. Most of the time, we see between 5 to 9 months. And, I give you that much of a variation because that's really what it is. I mean, most people are going to fall into that 6 months to 6.5 months time radius of when they get their work permit. But honestly, right now, can you guys see me on Instagram? It's saying that my Instagram is, I lost connection or something like that. Usually, even if you don't get it in 6 months, as long as you're still within the processing time, USCIS is not going to bite. They're going to be like, well, you're still within the processing time. And I will say, though, that some people end up getting their interviews earlier. And so what ends up happening is that they actually attend your interview and they may not have gotten their work permit. So let's say you put in a marriage-based case, and they schedule you for an interview in month 6, which happens. Like I have an interview next week, we submitted it 6 months ago, and their work permit is not out yet. So, there's a possibility they will just get their green card because, if they get approved, then the work permit is obsolete. And then on the VAWA side, most of the time it's within 5 to 8 months that you get your work permit. Most people get it around 6.5 months. We're seeing some that get it earlier now. But again, this is just for your initial work permit. Renewal work permits are taken at a ridiculous, if you know that your work permit is about to expire or it's expiring within 6 months, at this point you need to file for a renewal, just because they're taking a long time, so that there is no gap in employment or there's no gap in your work permit. And I've said it to you guys, if you're my clients, you should be calling the office to let us know when your work permit is expiring so that we can file for renewal, so there's no gap. Somebody asked, a person with a Stokes interview and his U.S. spouse is threatening not to go, can he file for a valid petition? If he qualifies, yes, he can file for a valid petition. So your question is a bit vague. I don't know if you've attended the Stokes interview or not, or you're saying, oh wait, okay, you said the person is threatening not to go, so that means there's a Stokes. So here's the thing. If you qualify for VAWA, you can certainly petition for a VAWA, do a VAWA petition, and we could request an abeyance. But I just need you to understand, though, that even though we request an abeyance and we can ask for that, not all USCIS offices follow the policy. So you will always find that one officer that might deny it and just say, well, file a new petition. That meaning they'll deny the 485, so you can file a new 485. But 9 times out of 10, they will do the transfer for you. Ray Island on Instagram. Instagram is on fire today. Facebook, you guys are super quiet. Okay, so Ray says, for VAWA, do you need any documentation from the abuser? So you don't need, first of all, if you're being abused and you're submitting a VAWA claim, you should not be communicating with your abuser about what you're doing. That's number one. But generally, if the question you're asking is like proof of their citizenship, if you have proof of their citizenship or proof of their green card, it is certainly helpful. But if you don't have that, and a lot of people who are abused don't have that because their abusers keep or hide their documents, we can certainly request for verification of their citizenship or U.S. citizenship status directly through USCIS. We can do that for you if you don't have that. But otherwise, the proof you need to be focusing on is proof that you have a legitimate marriage, right? You need to still show, so even though you're submitting a VAWA application, you still need to show that your marriage was legit, was bona fide, you guys cohabitated, meaning you live together. It's just that this person is cruel, extremely cruel to you. Okay. Paul says he just booked his appointment. Awesome. I look forward to chatting with you. Okay. Somebody on Facebook says, my friend went to her marriage-based interview in February. She has not heard anything back as of yet, but her husband is treating her badly. Can she change over to VAWA? Yes, she can change over if she qualifies. So I would need to evaluate her to make sure she meets the requirement of VAWA, and if she does, she can certainly switch over to a VAWA application. Good morning, Joy. Okay, let me answer some of these questions. Okay. This person says, as an undocumented immigrant going through a divorce, if my husband tells the judge that I worked, will I be in trouble? I qualify for VAWA. Let me see. I qualify for VAWA though. So Super STE, how do you know you qualify for VAWA? Did you submit a VAWA application? Did you speak to a lawyer that told you qualified? How do you know you qualified? So if the answer is one of the two of those, then it really doesn't matter. I don't recommend anybody work undocumented. So let me just put that caveat out there. However, if you do work with under the table, which a lot of people do because they have to survive, USCIS is not going to penalize you if you're married to a US citizen. But you should never, never, never write on any documentation that you're a US citizen. Never, 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 because you will never be able to overcome that. Do you understand? So if you work, I mean, it's what it is. 90% of my clients work under the table because they have to survive. Just make sure that you've submitted your VAWA petition if you already qualify. Somebody has qualified you. If not, call me 407-995-6567, and then we will see if you truly qualify. Okay? All right, let's see. What other questions do I have here? Damba on YouTube says, talking about permits, mine is expiring in March and I filed for VAWA. They sent mail that they will use the fingerprints already on file. Do I go ahead and file for renewal? Absolutely. I would even say you're a bit late. You need to file for renewal ASAP, like today. All right. All right. Let's see what else we got here. Okay, I see a lot of people are asking the questions through this thing, so let me see how to read it through it. I responded to a request for evidence through VAWA. It's been 4 months and nothing yet. What do I do? You don't do anything. You wait for them to make a decision. Just so you know, like when they send a request for evidence, it doesn't mean that they're going to get a request for evidence and they're going to make a decision. All it is that they're going to take that and then continue reviewing your case. But there still is a process and timeline for these types of cases. So like for VAWA cases, it takes anywhere from 2 years to 2.5 years. So if you're still within that time zone, whether or not they sent you the RFE 6 months out, 6 months from when you submitted, or 8 months, there's nothing you can do at this point. You can just wait for them to make a decision. But as long as you've sent your reply, you don't have to worry. You just wait, to see what happens. Okay. All right. Let's see. Okay, so this person says, I have a pending asylum case and I got married and filed for an I-130. It's still pending approval. Can I divorce or wait? So I'm not really sure how your pending asylum case, what that has to do with whether or not you can divorce or not. As an attorney, and I always say this, and for those of you that come from me, like, oh, you're trying to break marriages or whatever, do what you want. Like, I can't tell you whether you should divorce your spouse or not. If you want to divorce your spouse, you can divorce your spouse. However, if the question is whether or not a pending asylum, you'll be penalized for a divorce if you have a pending asylum. If that's the question, the answer is no. However, if you do divorce your spouse, you won't be eligible for the I-130 because the I-130 is essentially saying that you're married, so you won't be eligible. So that's the difference. Okay. Son of Grace and Glory says, is it only VAWA cases you take? No, it's not. I do take quite a bit of VAWA-based cases. I would say it's majority of my practice, but I certainly do marriage-based cases, family relations, children filing for their parents filing for their children, conditional removal, naturalization, T visas, response to request for evidence, notice of intent to deny, appeal, basically the gamut. So basically family immigration, I handle all of those. So if you have one of those, I'm happy to help you. Okay. Let me see. All right, guys, hold on. Let me get my mouse so I can stroll through this screen to see what other questions did I just show. Let's see. So Nikai says, asking for a friend, how soon will a prima facie determination letter come after the case has been received by USCIS? So the answer to this depends, and it depends on who submitted your petition. If you submitted it and you basically didn't submit enough stuff, you're not going to get a prima facie. So let's just be clear. A prima facie is not guaranteed. A prima facie is for those who have submitted and meet the requirements to be considered pre-approved, to be considered eligible for an approval for VAWA petition. Prima facies, on average, if you have a strong case or that has been submitted, typically take anywhere from like 3 months to 5 months. Sometimes they can come in like 8 weeks. And then sometimes we saw this happening a lot in December, where we got a prima facie like in June. And we didn't get the mail. Like, it was literally published in June and USCIS forgot to mail it, and we didn't get it till December. So like, it ended up taking like June that's like 7-8 months. So there's no real method to their reasoning, but most times you will be in that 3 to 5 months window for a prima facie if you qualify for a prima facie. Okay, let's see. Okay, someone said check your question icon. Okay, let me see. Okay, I think I answered this one. Um, I want to go back to this particular question actually. Um, if this person is asking as an undocumented immigrant going through a divorce, if my husband tells a judge that I worked, will I be in trouble? I also will say you could possibly qualify for VAWA without knowing what is going on with you. Anyone that's your spouse that does something like that with the intention, of getting you deported, it comes off as vindictive. So I bet that there's much more going on in there that would probably arise to the level of extreme cruelty. Um, so that is something that I would certainly say you should definitely get evaluated to see if you meet the requirements. And if you do, then you should submit your VAWA petition. Okay. This person says, if my spouse has a 1-year green card, can they sponsor me? I overstayed my visiting visa. YG. So the answer to this question is it depends. Because you've overstayed your visa, right now, the only thing that your spouse can file for you is an I-130. An I-130 does not give you a green card. An I-130 is essentially basically just saying that you and your husband have a legitimate marriage, right? That's all it is saying. And then once you have that, then you have to do what we call a 601A waiver, which is a hardship waiver. So if your spouse is able to show that there will be a lot of hardship to him, if if you are not allowed to come back into the United States, then they will approve that. And once they approve that, then you can go back to, your home country for your interview. And then, once you get approved, you come back as a green card holder. So that is one option. The second option, which would take you a little bit longer because you just said that your husband only has a green card for a year, is that if your husband becomes eligible for naturalization, because you don't have papers and your husband has a 1-year green card, I'm going to make a wild guess that it's going to take him 5 years to be eligible for citizenship. Once he becomes a citizen, then he can do it for you. Your third option is, God forbid, if your husband and you start having problems and your husband is extremely cruel and abusive to you, you might be able to self-petition by yourself without having to leave the country. Okay, so Petite says, can you apply for citizenship without a green card if your marriage is a little over 3 years? No, you cannot. The length of your marriage does not qualify you for citizenship. You have to be a green card holder in order for you to apply for citizenship. Obviously there are some exceptions with military and medical-based military personnel, and if you join the military and you're in the medics field, there are different similarities. But in the instance in what you're asking, the answer is no. You can't bypass it. You have to be a green card holder first. Okay, let me answer some more questions here. Okay. Somebody says conditional visa has been extended. So you mean conditional green card? So visa, right? Your green card. Conditional green card has been extended for another 24 months after it's been extended previously for 18 months. When is the best time to apply for citizenship? So Odie Perry, the answer is going to depend on what your conditional green card removal is based on. So if you and your spouse are currently married, and everything is good and you've been married for 3 years and you've had your conditional green card, like when you count it, if you actually look on the card when it says the first date that you became a green card holder, once you count it at the 3-year mark, 3 months before the 3-year mark, you're eligible to then file for citizenship. If you're divorced, then you have to go through the divorce route, which means it'll be at the 5-year mark. Okay. Baby says, do I have to file taxes together with my spouse? So you don't have to file taxes together with your spouse, but if you're not filing taxes together with your spouse, you need to have some really strong bona fides or some really good reasons why you're not filing taxes. If let's say your spouse owes a lot of money, or I don't know, like pay child support, but you don't want to go filing, single, a head of household if you're married. So you should be filing married, filing, single. If you have a legit reason why you guys are not filing taxes together. But the question is, if you'll be penalized if you don't file taxes together, no, as long as you have some really strong bona fides. Okay, so let me scroll through and see some more questions. Son of Grace says, what's your fee to become my representative? The fees range depending on what your legal matter is. So I definitely recommend you call me, 407-995-6567. I would need to evaluate your case, see what you qualify for, and then I'll be happy to quote you and sort of go over that with you. Okay. And if you guys on Instagram, there are just so many questions, so I'm not ignoring them. I just can't see everything. Okay, somebody asked, this is actually a really good question. If you are a green card holder, do you have to wait until you become a U.S. citizen to apply for your spouse? Again, the answer depends on where your spouse is. If your spouse is outside of the United States, you can apply right away. Visas are actually current right now, so you can apply for your spouse. And once your spouse gets approved of a spousal visa and they come into the country, they'll be green card holders. If your spouse is in the United States, you can file for your spouse right now if your spouse is in a current status, meaning your spouse's visa has not overstayed, they have not worked under the table, they have not violated any immigration process. It's very different for green card holders. They don't get as much leeway as U.S. citizens. It's like if a U.S. citizen is filing a marriage-based case for someone and the U.S. citizen, the U.S. citizen's spouse worked under the table, you're not going to be penalized, versus if it's a green card holder, you will be. Petite says, my marriage is already 3 years old and I'm yet to receive a green card. Can one apply? Well, Petite, the question is, did you apply for a green card? If you didn't apply for a green card, you're not going to receive a green card. You don't get a green card simply by marriage. You actually have to petition for a green card. Kaye says, if your temporary card expires before you file, can you still file or will you be penalized? So the answer really depends. So you're temporary, you're talking about conditional green card, correct? So the answer is going to depend on what category you're filing based on. If you're filing based on divorce, or if you're filing based on abuse, you're not, well, with abuse, you're not going to be penalized. You can file whenever. Well, as long as they don't put you in deportation. And then with divorce, same thing, as long as you explain why you were late. Marriage, joint marriages, if you and your spouse are filing, you definitely want to try and not file late. But if you have like a really legit excuse of why you're just filing, they will definitely consider that as well. Mabe says, I was sent an RFE for VAWA in September, but I didn't receive it. I sent a request for a new one in October, but still haven't gotten it. Do I need to call or send another letter? I feel like it's delaying my biometrics. So the thing about VAWA is, because USCIS is trying to protect victims of, abuse and extreme cruelty, they're never going to respond to you via phone. Like, there's nothing you can tell them that'll make them, well, if they do, they'll probably be fine if it's found out that they, responded to you, because it's for your safety. So the only way that you can communicate with USCIS if you're a VAWA applicant is via a real letter or through your attorney. Your attorney can probably just use the attorney hotline and reach out for, to them for you to send that RFE. Kelvia says, you're doing a good job. Thank you so much. Aru Odo says, I overstayed my visiting visa. I had an issue with my friend and he or she reported me to immigration. I met someone that wants to marry me now. How does it affect me while I file for my marriage? Well, first of all, your friend is shady. That's terrible. You definitely need to ex that friend and make her an ex-friend. She's not your friend doing that. So if you fall in love and you get married, then get married. I mean, people file overstay all the time. Like as long as your spouse is a U.S. citizen, that'll be okay. Can you file for your parents as a green card holder? The answer to that is no. You have to be a U.S. citizen and over the age of 21 before you can file for your parents. Okay. Um, okay. So Cynthia on Facebook says, before getting married to my husband, I had my own lease, excuse me, and I left it to my cousin, and I'm on the lease with my husband. Can this affect my interview? And I left it to my cousin, and I'm on the lease. Oh, so you're saying that you have two leases? Is that what you're saying? If you have two leases, you definitely want to make sure that you're able to explain that, and that the property management can explain that if they should do any kind of secondary research. If they don't, then you just submit the lease that you currently have. But if they do secondary research, you definitely want to be able to explain that, or for your property management and for your cousin to be able to write an affidavit, that she notarizes explaining that. Oh, Petite, I see what you're saying. You're saying you applied and you've gone for an interview twice. My case is outside the normal process and time. It's been over 35 months. Well, really for you at this point right now, you probably need to do some sort of if you've done an interview twice and it's still pending, it's because there's something in your record that USCIS is not settled with, and they either suspect that the marriage is not legit, and as long as you and your spouse is still together and everything is legit, what you can try and do is you can do congressional assistance, where you ask your local congressman or senator to assist you with pushing USCIS to make a decision, or doing an ombudsman request. Personally, I prefer going the ombudsman route over the congressional route, depending on who your local congressman or woman is, because some congress people are not immigrant friendly, and so they will not necessarily push for you. If you have one that's like really pro-immigrant, guys, my hair is like driving me crazy, sorry. So if you have one that's like pro-immigrant, sure, use it. If not, try the ombudsman first. But before you try the ombudsman, you want to try to make sure that you've called them a few times, and that they've not done anything. Rady says, how do we apply for a green card as a STEM OPT? So, you can apply for a green card as a STEM OPT. Your employer has to sponsor you in an H-1B application lottery. Okay, let's see what other questions, guys. YTYTC, not 1 year. I meant 10 years. Because I don't remember what your question is, you can type it again. I don't remember. Sorry. Somebody says, can doing Uber and food delivery be considered as work not to be done? Uber and food delivery is work. Anything that pays your money is work, But again, like I said, do people work under the table? Yes. Should they be doing it? No. Does USCIS penalize you for it if you're married to a US citizen? No. Do they penalize you if you are submitting a valid claim? No. So it's what it is, I mean, I can't tell anybody whatever to do. I can't encourage you to do that, but that's just what it is. Aruda says your hair looks lovely. You look good. Thank you so much. Shai says, will it affect us filing taxes together? No, filing taxes together is actually good. If you file taxes with your spouse, it's one of the key ingredients to show that you guys are willing to commingle your finances. When you were thinking about immigration and you were submitting a claim to show that you have legitimate marriage, these are the key things that you guys have to think about. One, matters of the heart, finances, and things that ordinarily most married couples will be doing. Matters of the heart are things like, are you guys, do you remember when you were proposed to? Did your spouse give you anything for Christmas? When did you guys start dating? When did he ask you out? Like stuff like that, when it comes to finances, when they see that you're willing to take the risk to merge your finances, which is a big thing for most human beings, because we are innately selfish and want to protect our own financials, then they know that, you know, there is legitimacy there. So if you're filing taxes together, meaning that you're willing to take on both the tax burden and the tax benefits, that helps to show the legitimacy of your marriage. If you guys have an active bank account together, and what I mean active, you know, sometimes clients will send me a bank statement, and the bank statement is just like $50 and no other transaction has been sent there. And I'm like, I can't use this. This is not even good. In fact, this will raise a red flag. You know, when you have that, it just looks like your bank statement is like a decoration. You know, so you need to be actively spending together, you know, whether it's for your grocery bills, your utility bills. You know, listen, I'm all about the independence, you know, in your marriage. If you want to have your own separate bank account and your spouse wants to have their own separate bank account, that's fine. But as long as you are in the immigration process, if you can, you should get one together and let that be the household bank account, just to show the finances. Okay, you know, pictures over the duration of your marriage, you know, sending pictures of just you guys making out in the bathroom or making out in your bed, like those really mean nothing to them, because one, you're by yourself, and two, that can be staged. So they want to see pictures where people are there, you know, other family members know about your relationship, you guys going to Disney, you guys going to Six Flags, you guys going to Universal Studios. Listen, Disney and Universal Studios is very expensive right now. You know, you're spending like probably at least $500, you know, to go there for two people. So, you know, you going there is showing the legitimacy of your relationship. And, you know, obviously the list is exhaustive, but I'm just giving you examples of different things that would show like matters of the heart, finances, and then things that most married couples should know. Like, you know, if they're asking you what your wife has children, what are their children's names, you know, what are their birthdays, you know, do they go to school, who do they live with, you know, things like that. You should know your address. You know, you should never go to an interview and not know your address, where you and your spouse live. You know, what is the cross street between your house, what is the closest grocery store. You know, you should know the color of your walls, right? You should know the colors of your doors. You should know if, you know, her mother is alive or her father is alive. So things like that. So these are all, you know, things that they will look at. So whenever people ask me, well, is this going to affect me? It's not one thing or the other that affects. You know, it's accumulation of everything. You know, as much as, if you know, get every credible evidence that you have and submit that. Okay, so let me take this one on Facebook. Shamika says, what is the current timeline now for immigration? So the answer is going to depend on what you have submitted. So if you tell me what you submitted, I can give you sort of like an estimate, okay? Sherry K says, if your child under 21 is a dependent on your VAWA application, can they stay in the U.S. until the case is finalized? Certainly, but you can also apply for them. So if your child is under 21 and they're already in the U.S., you can also, outside of them being your dependent on your I-360, you can also apply for the adjustment of status at the same time you're applying for yours. You don't have to wait for yours to be approved. Okay, you guys, I'm jumping up very soon. Like my mouth hurts from talking. Let me see what else we have here. Shamika says, what do I apply for to have my husband come to the US with me from Nigeria? You're going to have to file for an I-130 and then go through consular processing. So that would be it. But the first thing you'll be doing is your petition for alien relative. Okay, guys. I know I'm not able to get to everybody's question, but okay, let me take this last one. If at the time I was filing for my spouse, he only listed one child but has two children, can we file for the second child? Well, why didn't he list a second child? This particular thing, if you guys have been following me for a long time, this really upsets me. I guess because I'm a mom, and I just can't imagine doing that or thinking that's a good idea. Like for those people who think that I'm going to remove my child and then when I get here, I'm going to settle it. And then they call you and say, oh, well, now I have my green card. I want to file for my children. But the problem is, I never listed those children. I don't like that at all. Personally, this is something that personally upsets me. That being said, let me remove judgment here. It depends on the reason why he didn't do it. So if you're filing for your spouse and your process has not finished, you can do an amendment. You can amend, you can do an amendment and ask them to add the additional child. One of the things that they could ask is for a DNA or proof of birth, so if, at the time, maybe he and the person's mother were married, having a marriage certificate showing when they were married and having the birth certificate showing that he was listed on the birth certificate or that the child was listed before they turned 16, that will help to put them back. But you guys want to make sure that you're not omitting your child because, these kids, like when I get kids that call me, as 21, like in their 20s, and they're filled with so much resentment towards your parents for like leaving them out and omitting them from this, and now they have no way, of applying, it really sucks. So just try to add your children, when don't even if you're not petitioning for your children, don't hide your children, list your children. Okay, guys, I have to go. I will be back on live on Monday. I usually come on between 9 to 10 a.m. So you can subscribe to my channel, hit the notification button on YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, so you know when I come on live. If you want to schedule a consultation with me or I didn't get to your question, call me 407-995-6567. You can also send a WhatsApp message, 404-333-8751. I am on a mission to save and change as many lives as I can in 2022. So let's get it, 2022. All right, guys, I will talk to you guys later.